"Dead puppies!" shouts a barely controlled voice from the dark. Dead puppies. I'm laughing so hard I think I'm going to strain something. We're all laughing, that whooping, rip-roaring laughter that comes along all too rarely after you're old enough to have your own overdraft. Back of the school bus. Infectious hysteria. We're all laughing here in the dark. 5 feet away in a bright pool of light, a man wearing only a chef's hat at a rakish angle is manipulating the end of a vast penis as if it had a child-proof cap. A naked woman, with breasts the size and texture of pink bowling balls, is lying ex akimbo in a wedding cake. They're not laughing. Dead puppies is the technical term for shut the fuck up and concentrate. "Sex, please!" shouts another voice from the hot blackness. "Rolling speed! Action!" And the chef heaves the penis like a sock of billiard balls at the girl's frosted sphincter. It nuzzles the puckered blind eye like a physics problem. How do you get a quart into a shot glass? How do you get an elephant into a telephone box? How in God's name do you get that monstrous willy up a bum? The chef spreads his feet on the sticky floor for purchase, places a hand on his own muscular buttock for leverage, and pushes. A single Marine raising the flag on Iwo Jima. The staff bends and then takes the strain. The girl's dead tarantula eyelashes flutter, her pink taloned fingers grip her own hock, and the knob begins to disappear, inch by truncheon inch. The breasts, two true troopers, never move. They don't even shudder. In the darkness there's a faint drawing in of breath. Let me tell you, nothing Paul Daniels ever made vanish was remotely as awe-inspiring or captivatingly magic as this. It's halfway through the second and final day of shooting Hothouse Tales, my debut as a director. My debut as a film writer also, actually, and I spent most of it helpless with mirth or transfixed with admiration. I'm in Hollywood. Well, Hollywood lied. And I'm an author. I'm a player. I'm a name. I'm a callback. I'm a table-hopping destination. I'm in movies. This is the dream, my dream, that I've had since my mother took me to see my first porn movie, The Devil and Miss Jones, in Times Square when I was 19. The idea that you could realise your hot, sweaty-fisted fantasies and make them happen, show them in Technicolor, is the ultimate boy's fantasy. All my adult life I've wanted to have a pneumatic woman buggered on a wedding cake by a cartoonishly hung black man. Who hasn't? It was surprisingly easy to make it happen. This is America after all. A country addicted to making dreams come true and pneumatic breasts. Metro, one of the biggest adult entertainment companies, with a multi-million-pound turnover and a listing on the Nasdaq, was only too happy to have an unknown hack write and direct a movie and do a feature on it. In fact, they had a free slot in a month. Could they possibly have an 80-minute script by Monday? It was Friday. For the next 2 days, I asked everyone I knew what they wanted to see in a porn movie. Is there a consensus as to what's sexy? I particularly wanted to know what women found erotic. Men's fantasies are all either desperately predictable, naughty underwear nurses, surprised maids, bored housewives, or solitary user specific, as in, I've always wanted to see really elegant girls in evening gowns scrabbling through piles of manure for diamonds. I'd imagined that women would want a story, a context, and above all, romance. In fact, all the women I spoke to had the same fantasy. Anonymous sex. Fucking a stranger. Just eye contact and then down to it. Well, I never. I must have brushed past 1 million women since I was 16, and never once have I been propositioned. I thought you had to make them laugh first, at least. I started off with a list of things that didn't turn me on. Spotty bums, socks. Porn stars wear them because they think dirty feet are even less sexy. Cliched aggressive swearing of the "you know what you want it, you dirty bitch" type. Snarling, cheap jewellery, stick-on nails, and most of all, the violent domination and humiliation that's so often a feature in pornography. Metro had its own requirements. It faxed a list of movie must-haves. 6 to 8 females and 4 to 6 males. One female will be the star, be featured on the video box, and do 2 scenes. There should be 7 scenes in total of the following types: boy girl, girl girl, girl girl boy, girl boy boy, girl anal, boy girl oral, and solo girl masturbation. However, girls wanking is something else that doesn't do it for me, so I ditched that and started typing with my other hand. The plot had to be simple, the dialogue simpler. They don't do talking, Susan Yannetti, Metro's sardonic and amused PR, told me. Really, they won't read the script and they can't act. It's not what they do. After some thought, I decided to set my vignettes in the rooms of a cheap boarding house and have them all link up like La Ronde. Some would be funny, some deeply erotic. In all of them, the power would be with the women. Initially, I wanted each scene to be surprising, something I hadn't seen before. But as I started writing, I realised that many of my fantasies were second-hand, formed by erotic films I'd seen or books I'd read. And much eroticism is in a nuance, the sway of a hip, the look in an eye, something intangible that fires a spark between the screen and the viewer. Still, the plot came fast and I started to have a ball. It's impossible to talk about pornography in anything but double entendres. Just ignore them. I plagiarised the Decameron and Canterbury Tales and Greek myths for storylines. I'm telling you, writing a porn film is the best fun. At 4 a.m. on Sunday, I faxed the script to Metro and waited for the call. Susie Yannetti called me back within a few hours. "I reckon we got a porno movie here," she said. "It's very good. Really, you have a talent for this. It's much better than the stuff we normally get." Let me tell you, I've won more than my fair share of press awards. I've been paid disgusting amounts of money to write for prestigious magazines. I've had fan mail from Elizabeth Hurley, been kissed by Michael Winner. But nothing, no gong or compliment, had ever filled me with such pride. However, Susan had some changes. A lot of this is way over the customers' heads, let alone the actors. And this boy-on-boy scene has got to go or they won't stock it in the shops. The merest hint of homosexuality and the poor dears lose their erections. Remember, what we're making is a masturbation aid. The wankers can't handle a hint of gayness. And I think we have to drop the scene where the Chinese girl smokes a joint in her vagina and says, "My pussy's got the munchies for you." "Why?" I asked. "Can't you find a girl who can do pelvic floor exercises?" "It's not that, it's drugs. They're real strict about that." "So you can have a girl gangbanged by 20 strangers in ways that are illegal in 18 states, but smoking grass is immoral?" "Adrian, this is America." This is Van Nuys. It's 40 minutes outside Beverly Hills and at 208 hotter. It has a baked-on, low-level grimness, which should make it illegal to buy razor blades here without a prescription. The Metro office is situated in a prefab hangar in a street of hangars beside a military airport. The tomcats howl orgasmically up the runway, but everything else is eerily silent. You'd never know what they did here. Inside the offices, there's a matter-of-fact air. There's not an inflated breast in sight. The pictures on the walls are, bizarrely, Disney animation drawings. Susan greets us and gives me my rewritten script. To say that it has been emasculated wouldn't be entirely accurate. Everything that isn't masculation has been filleted. A plot and dialogue that I had thought Sesame Street simple is now Care in the Community remedial. But never mind. It's a movie script. It's got my name on it, and we're in production. We have our first production meeting with the producer and cameraman, 2 young dudes in shorts and band t-shirts with futuristic facial hair, both called Michael, though the cameraman calls him Quasar Man. They're a team. They make 20-odd movies a year and they talk like a double act, finishing each other's sentences, sliding into pop song riffs and making each other snigger. Quasar Man is Canadian and has a Tourette's-like obsession with talking in an Austin Powers accent and clicking the air with inverted commas. Ironically, of course. They're like the Valley version of Beavis and Butthead, and I like them immediately. The production meeting is brief. Have you got any questions? No? Good. We'll see you on the set. Before we begin filming, Susan shows me around the warehouse at the back of the hangar. Racks of VCRs are continuously making copies, while thousands of videos lie waiting to be packed and shipped. The films are arranged by subject. Black men, white girls, gangbangs, nurses, gay men, transsexuals, and anal, or A as it's known. There's also a section devoted to double A, 2 penises in one bottom, a thought which makes the mind boggle and the cheeks clench. Porn is one of the biggest businesses in the world. In America alone, it turns over $7 to $10 billion a year. 7 to 10 billion a year. That's more than Hollywood. Worldwide, it grosses $500 billion. The cosy liberal assumption that pornography is a sad, solitary, under-the-mattress toss aid for socially inept, underclass old men is patently untrue. A few low-rent, dirty old wankers and some hairy-palmed students simply don't generate that sort of money. But then, no one does know actually who's watching this stuff, although we all assume we know why. Nobody's ever done any real market research, says Susan. There's no demographic picture because people just lie about sex. It's stiff with hypocrisy, guilt and shame. But essentially, pornography is bought by men. Women may watch it and enjoy it, but no woman rents a video to watch on her own, with her hand down her knickers. I asked how many films Metro had in its catalogue. No one's counting, says Susan, but it must be 25,000 at least. They get re-edited and made into compilations. And that's just one company, and it's all been made in the last 15 years. Porn's boom came with video. It is said that it was the porn industry that killed Betamax by choosing VHS. Certainly it's the porn industry that's driving DVD. For every mainstream video title, there are 12 porn titles available. An American computer company wanted to advertise the power of the internet by listing the top 10 most popular sites. It gave up because all of them were porn. In fact, the top 20 sites are porn, with the singular exception of the Mormons' Doomsday Census. The studio is low rent and decrepit, but fantastically exciting to me because my boarding house has finally come to life. Each room has been built and dressed with remarkable care and authenticity. They all look deeply seedy. Among the collateral pleasures of porn are the stunningly hideous bedspreads, coffee tables, and pictures in the background. If you ever wondered where they come from, I can tell you there's a props room in the valley that is the British Museum of Solitary Ejaculation. Hundreds of horrendous beds, sofas, lamps, statues, rhinestone-covered telephones, soft toys, kitchens and operating theatres. It's an X-rated style obscenity all of its own. Upstairs in makeup, Clarissa is being plastered for the first scene. My story called for a Vietnamese girl. And Clarissa is half Mexican, close and also very young and exceedingly nervous. I tried to talk to her about motivation and the method. Have you actually read the script? Yeah, she's such a bad actress. She can't even lie in a single affirmative, believably. This is only her second movie and she's terrified of being recognised, so has insisted on a wig. Unfortunately, the wig is exactly the same colour, cut and length as her own hair. She's not bright. It'll be fine, I say. You look wonderful. She smiles gratefully, proving I'm a better actor than she is. She has every reason to be nervous. Her scene is with Ron Jeremy, and she's never seen him. Ron Jeremy is a god. There's no two ways about it. He is the most famous male porn star in America, and he's hideous. Truly, madly, deeply hideous. fat, short, balding. He's a soft, dank, hairy fast food bin with a greasy village people moustache. Ron is the Mickey Rooney of porn. He's been around since Naughty Postcards and has had everyone. They all love Ron. He's funny and he can act. Trouble is, no one wants to fuck him anymore. Clarissa's getting a $200 premium to do it with Ron. When Ron arrives, he's wearing a filthy red t-shirts and shorts that do nothing for him. "Hey!" he yells. "Great script!" "Don't take any notice," whispers Mike, the producer. He says that every time. Ron wants to talk about motivation. He knows his lines, and he takes it all very seriously. "Hey, I've done legit work, you know. I've done England. I've been on Ruby Wax twice." My, there aren't a lot of men who can say that. "Look, I brought some costumes along. See what you think." He produces a plastic bag containing 3 t-shirts and 3 pairs of shorts. All grubby, identical variations on the vile things he's already wearing. I get my first bad set of giggles. The scene doesn't go well. Clarissa sees Ron and goes as stiff as a board, and she's the only thing that does. Ron, once famous for being able to auto-fellate, came on cue and hit a nostril at 5 paces, can't get it up. He has to use what's technically known as the Kung Fu death grip, pinching the base of his penis so hard the blood can't get out. Clarissa is horrified. "Just a minute," Ron pants. Gunter, the video tech, groans. "The 3 words you never want to hear on set are just a minute." It means the talent can't get wood. In the end, the scene's cut down to a facial. That is, Ron wanks onto Clarissa's cheek. It's not pretty. It's not erotic. It's not a good start. I follow her out into the sunlight. "Are you all right?" I ask. She says she's fine. She's grateful for the money, but isn't sure she's going to do it again. Being able to achieve and sustain an erection in order to order is the great improbable at the heart of porn movies. Very few men can do it. Lots think they can, but in the business there are only about 25 men who work regularly. Viagra's changing that, but no one with an ounce of professional pride will admit they use it. The next scene, boy, girl, girl, has the best, most sought-after erection in the business. It's British, and wouldn't you know, it's from Essex. See, Stephen Scott, whose stage name is, incomprehensibly, Mark Davies, has been voted Best Male Porn Star 3 times at Cannes. The crew love him. Woody is his middle name. He gets it up, goes grinding on and on like the good ship Venus, and then ejaculates in a blur of fist. Most importantly, the girls love doing it with him. One of the many myths about porn films is that they exploit women. Philosophically, we can argue about it, but practically, it's quite the reverse. The girls get paid up to 3 times more than the men, can choose their male partners and their positions. Mark is in demand, sometimes making 2 films a day. He's been in the sex business since he was 17, first as a stripper, then as a Chippendale. He's also easygoing and charming. As we chat about England and California, I quite forget that I'm making small talk with a naked man who's licking his fingers and manipulating the bell end of a very big penis. He's also proud owner of a convertible. He's got a foreskin. Most Americans don't, though he's fucked so much that he's torn it twice. Stress fractures in a cavalier's bonnet. You couldn't make it up. Mark does everything. "What about double A?" I ask him. "Sure, some guys won't do it. They think it's sort of gay. You know, touching another guy's cock. Doesn't bother me." "What about the girls?" "Well, they're big, you know. You could drop a golf ball down them. It wouldn't touch the sides. There's one girl who can stick a pineapple up her ass." It's not just being able to do it. It's considering it in the first place. Anal sex used to be rare in porn movies, but now it's de rigueur. Every show has to have it. Susan thinks it's because punters want to see what they can't get at home. Mostly the male actors don't like it. It's not as nice or as well appointed as a vagina. But the women do. Johnny Black, A female ex-paratrooper captain who's starring in a later scene asks specifically if she can do A. I tell her that if she feels it's in keeping with the motivation of her character, to go for it by all means. In the makeup room, naked bodies are being primped and patted and plucked. The producer comes in and shouts, "Time to blow the pipes!" The couple for the next scene go off to the loo with vinegar douches and enema pipes. It's a little touch of hygienic good manners, like brushing your teeth before kissing Michelle Pfeiffer. Mark's scene is with Claudia Chase and Temptress, who begin with girl on girl and move on to a boy-girl-girl number. There's a definite frisson on the set. Both the girls are truly beautiful, and Temptress is doing a man on screen for the first time in ages. Up until now, she's mainly been doing lesbian work and stripping. She takes dollar bills from punters' mouths by clasping them between her buttocks. Mark's trick is to turn the girls on for real. Temptress is a pushover. Between takes they don't stop. His head stays butted between her thighs. "What makes him so good?" I shout. "Oh, he's really good at going down on us," giggles Claudia. "He's the best." Mark comes up for air. "I've got a really short tongue," he smiles. "Oh, I've got a really short tongue as well," I mutter. What a coincidence. And the crew dissolves into fits. Real female orgasms aren't as rare as you'd imagine on set. Some girls hold back because they think orgasms should only be with their boyfriends, but most just go with it. Temptress comes at the top of her voice. With great professionalism, Mark gives both girls a simultaneous facial. "I'll come from here to here and I won't get it in your eyes." He's the Tiger Woods of sperm. As we pack up the scene, Mark asks Temptress if she has a boyfriend. "Not anymore," she replies. "Well, if you'd like some uncomplicated fucking, let's get together." It's rather touching, if a little bizarre. You have trilistic sex, then ask the girl for a date. And so it goes on. That afternoon a German TV crew turn up, then a Dutch one. There's a seedy little guy making a documentary to go on the backside of the DVD. At any one time there are 5 cameras on the set, all trying to keep out of each other's way. Quasar Man keeps up a steady stream of Austin Powers jokes and teases the naked talent remorselessly. "Okay, time to stick the Johnson up the colon." We're actually shooting 2 films simultaneously, the hardcore video version and a soft Playboy channel one. So every shot has to be duplicated. "Legs together, I'm getting the ball sack." Johnson touching sphincter is definitely hardcore. Quasarman is terrified of penises touching him. Has he ever been hit? Once I got a ricochet on my shoes. This job really puts you off sex. Continuity is also a problem. "Was that duvet cover on the bed?" he shouts. "Who cares, for Christ's sakes?" cries the producer. "If the masturbators are stopping to say, 'Oh look, that duvet cover's a different colour,' they must be gay." "I know it's just porn, but I want to get it right," replies Quasar Man. "I don't want to be backhanding out the lube." The assistant responsible for the condoms, KY and tissues has the lowliest job on the lot. I quickly learned the language of pornography. The cum shot is a pop. An FIP is a faked internal pop for the soft version. All the propositions have names. The cowgirl, her on top, is good for bum shots. Reverse cow, her on top facing the other way, is good for close-up plumbing shots. Monkey fucking is a position never seen in real life, where the man squats over the girl in a sort of simian doggy fashion. Between takes, a stills photographer known as Creepy Drew takes publicity and magazine shots in quick succession. Hard, soft and ultralight. All day, the most disgusting chef I've ever seen, a man who looks like the wagon train cook from a John Wayne film, scuttles around the set handing out canapes. Prawns and guacamole on tortilla chips, tuna and onion sandwiches, chicken and mango salsa. As the cameras are moved or videos changed, the girls look after the male talent, helping them keep their erections. They ask them, "What do you need, honey?" and kiss or give blowjobs, fondle scrotums, or just lie with their legs apart showing pink. All day there's a masturbating man somewhere in my peripheral vision, until the last pop is shot at 2 a.m. I go back to my Beverly Hills hotel and watch a porn movie, too tired to sleep. It's an 8 a.m. start tomorrow. Houston is currently the hottest thing in porn movies. She became a major star by lying on a turntable and having sex with more men in one day than anyone else in the world ever. 620. Climbing Mount Everest in a sandpaper bikini would have been an easier route to stardom. Houston is our featured talent. I meet her in the makeup room. Her makeup takes longer than Chewbacca's, where she's trimming what's left of her pubic hair, gingerly circumnavigating a pudendum that looks like a badly made pastrami sandwich. She grabs a clump of clippings. I should sell this stuff, you know. Ah, a true diva. We talk about her role. I really like this scene with all the cakes, she says. I do something like this in my act. A lot of the girls make serious money dancing in strip clubs, using the videos to promote themselves. Houston has a body that's built for pornography, built with care and attention by real craftsmen. She's tough and very professional, going over and over her lines. I don't think I can say, "Oh, bugger me," here. It doesn't sound right. Can I say, "Hey, fuck me in the arse" instead? Houston's first scene is a blowjob. She makes it look incredibly exciting. The trick is that you've got to really enjoy it. Her second scene is the wedding cake buggery. It's complicated. She has to talk, eat cake and have sex in a number of camera-pleasing but precarious positions with a man who should have, not for internal use, tattooed on his cock. Here we hit a glitch. Houston, we have a problem. While the actor's willing to have his equipment varnished and to mime reciprocation for the softcore version, he won't actually go down on Houston. "I've got an allergy to sugar," he mumbles, "and she's covered in cake." Great. We get the only porn star in the world who's allergic to icing. The producer has his own theory, however. It's a cultural thing. He doesn't want to put his mouth where 619 guys and Ron Jeremy have been. Quite. Eventually, Quasar Man shoots around the problem with a string of obscene jokes. "Time for Johnson to probe colon. Park the Cadillac in the cul-de-sac." The buggery scene comes to an abrupt end, however, when the caddy hits creosote. Now, imagine the most embarrassing thing in the world, and then compare it to being covered in cake, having anal sex with a stranger, being filmed up close by 3 camera crews, and then shitting yourself. That's top-of-the-range humiliation. But Houston never blinked. She didn't blush or even smile apologetically. She just called for the lube guy for a paper towel, cleaned herself up, and went for the pop shot. It was the most damnably cool thing I ever saw. Houston is a true 18-carat star. The next problem we had was the Catholic girl and 2 strangers. This setup had been utterly mangled from my original. All that was left was an unexplained Catholic shrine and a girl who took the double pop shot like communion. She was to start off praying. Melody Love, a small but perkily formed Hispanic girl, throws a fit. "Oh my God, I can't do that! I'm Catholic, not in front of Jesus!" I try to reason with her. You're going to have sex simultaneously with 2 strange men for money as an aid to masturbation, a sin. Do you think God's going to mind more because you're pretending to pray? We compromise by removing the picture of Christ. What he can't see won't bother him. I just hope he doesn't watch the Playboy channel. One of the men, Tice Boone, comes in for a lot of ribbing from Quasar Man about the size of his penis. "God, here it comes! The smallest dick in movies! Cock in a sock! Hey, Tice, you going to get an erection? Oh, that is an erection! I'll get in close then." Frankly, if I had a willy his size, I'd wear it on the outside of the blue rosette saying "Best in Show." I watch the scene from a redundant sofa. Beside me is the porn star wife of the other exorbitantly hung man in this threesome. After a couple of minutes I look round. She's concentrating intently and masturbating. Catching my eye, she smiles politely. "Isn't he great? We've been married for 10 years. Actually, the producer tries not to cast husbands and wives together. Their familiarity transmits to the screen. "You still find this exciting even though it's work?" I ask her, totally bemused. "Oh yeah, honey, you've got to love sex if you want to survive in this business. If you don't really enjoy it, well, it hurts for a start. You can be rubbed raw. You've got to be into it. Here," she continues, "you want to see the best natural bosoms in the business?" "Oh, if you must." She shows me. They would be the best natural bosoms in any business you care to mention. At 2 a.m, we get to the last setup, the lesbian scene. Two excessively exuberant girls, one blonde, one dark, with thin, parched, recreation area pubic hair, play a cop and an illegal immigrant. The cop pulls on a surgical glove and in a Texan accent says, "I'm going to have to search you, Maria. Bend over." No, not that. For a moment I have an image of her as Rod Steiger with implants and think that perhaps we should call the movie On Heat in the Night. Though the crew are exhausted and have been watching sex for 16 hours straight, they really like this bit. Outside the pool of light, they squat in the shadows and silently watch the girls slither about on the bed, howling like vixens. Then I notice something odd. The gaffers and grips and runners and Sparks and the lube boy have all turned from the action to stare at the monitor. 5 feet away from them, 2 live girls are having sex, but they'd rather watch it on the screen. Pornography is something that happens on the screen. This is its familiar, omnipotent voyeurism. Its erotic charge comes from being disengaged. The last gasp close-up is caught. It's a wrap. The girls roll off the bed giggling, kiss and say, "Thanks, we should do this again." The studio lights go on and the crew divvy up the few remaining cigarettes. Plugs are pulled, the miles of cable are wound round thumb and elbow, and that's it. We say goodbye in that intense way you do when you shared a common task and exhaustion with a team. Manly bear hugs. Many a, "Hey, keep in touch." Michael, the producer, says, "You ever want to do this again, just call. We should make one a year." And that's it. Exit, roll credits. I walk into the cool darkness of the valley, get into the black limo, and sleep dreamlessly. No story I've ever covered has elicited such fantastic interest as the making of a porn movie. Not war, pestilence, politics or celebrity. People come up to me in restaurants, at parties. They call me, wanting to know what it's really like. What are the stars really like? Do they really? Is it actually? Everyone wants to see it. There's a vast, intense interest in seeing people have sex on screen. This may be because we live in the only theocratically censorious state in Europe where hardcore pornography is illegal. The first film was produced in 1896 in this country. The first act of censorship was in 1898, when the British cheese-making industry had a shot of blue-veined cheese withdrawn. Censoring cheese is no less absurd than censoring an erect penis. All the pseudo-social scientific arguments about pornography encouraging rape and violence and sexual dysfunction have been made patently bogus by the 15-year experience of us having no pornography, while the rest of Europe has as much as it likes. The sexual crime rates in Switzerland and Denmark are not notably soaring compared with ours. The things that most of us think should be banned, underage sex, violence, are already covered by the law, whether you have a camera there or not. But although everyone who's spoken to me wants to see the movie and wants to know every sweaty detail, so they have all wanted the sex stars to be dysfunctional, unhappy and exploited. Well, of course, they're all on drugs, aren't they? Oh, they're pretty sick people, aren't they? It's a very sleazy business, isn't it? There's a need to have received wisdom confirmed. The bottom line is that we want filmed sex to have a riotous comeuppance for the actors because sex is the intimate act that proves the invisible truth of love, and love is the most precious and powerful thing our species owns. But again, this doesn't make sense. Why don't we censor or become outraged at actors faking all the other facets of love? Why aren't two strangers who say, "I'll love you forever" on screen far more wholly immoral? Why isn't Romeo and Juliet, by common consent, the most disgustingly depraved play ever written, and only performed in seedy clubs on the Reeperbahn? Doesn't make any sense. But then, nothing about sex makes sense. Why should it? The wiring in our heads that connects desires, lust, jealousy, passion, devotion, frustration and biology is so complex and irrational that to even consider a rational debate about sex and pornography is absurd. Making Hothouse Tales, I learnt that these are not exploited people. The set is matriarchal, with the women choosing what they'll do and with whom. Only the film crew are cynical about the act, but then all film crews are cynical. The stars are surprisingly innocent. I mean that in a fundamental, not a physical sense. They're incredibly kind to each other. Each scene would start with the girl saying, "Okay, what are your do's and don'ts? I don't like fingers up my arse or my hair being pulled, but slapping's good. Do you mind me biting your balls?" They'd help the guys keep their erections between shot in a fond, almost loving way. And the sex is real. It's real in the sense that running around a track is real, as running for a bus. I discovered that to compare porn stars with actors is a misinterpretation of what they do. They're much closer to being athletes. They physically perform for public pleasure. They are an elite. Very few people can do what they do. You may play tennis, but you're a million miles away from winning Wimbledon. You have sex, but it's not in the same ballpark as these people. They take it seriously, they train, they're focused, and they're very, very good. Is a girl with breast implants who'll take 2 penises up her backside any weirder than a shot putter who'll take male hormones to throw a cannonball? There's no question which gives the most pleasure to watch. But one is a national hero, and the other a seedy pariah. It doesn't make sense. Are the stars exploited? Well, a lot of the women have what are known as suitcase pimps, parasite boyfriends who carry their bags and take their money. And there are some pretty seedy agents on the periphery of the business. Is there a lot of disease? Everyone has to produce a DNA test every 30 days. It's an unbreakable rule. A porn film has safer sex than a lot of you have with your own spouses. Are they happy? Well, that's a piece of string. They have the same run of broken marriages and fractured lives you'd find anywhere in LA. Certainly, they're far less miserably abused, abusive and disposable than their equivalents in Hollywood. What I found, though, was a sincere sense of awe and envy for their ability to be straightforward about sex and still get pleasure from it. I've never met a group of people who are so relaxed about their bodies and their function. They've shed the straitjacket of insecurity that the rest of us lug into bed. In the pool of bright light, I watched a remarkable fraternity of nice, attractive and amusing people doing what the rest of us cool libertarian liberals have been talking about since the 60s. That is, be honest, relaxed and open about sex. I also learnt that we look for truths that will confirm and bolster our own complicated social, political and moral dilemmas about sex. We see and understand what we want, what we need to see. And if you're reading this with a disbelieving sneer on your face, well, join everyone else I've said it to. What Hothouse Tales will look like, heaven only knows. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the Citizen Kane of adult entertainment. Probably more like the Titty Titty Bang Bang of skin flicks. But I do now see what a vaunting piece of hubris and self-delusion it was to ever imagine you could direct sex. I might as well have tried to pole a punt with my penis.